Stronglock Radio presents poetry. The other day, I came across one of my favorite poems in childhood. Don't ask me why this poem was one of my favorites, but for some reason I enjoyed it. I used to be able to memorize it, now not so much, but I'm gonna read it for you. Wilfred the Weevil was terribly evil. He ate my corn in the early morn, and then at night he'd take a bite out of my bread. Someone said he crept in the flour where he spent an hour, and when he came out he was so very stout that he crawled on his knees into the cheese. The maggots objected, and he was subjected to an awful bouncing and a fearful trouncing. This hurt his pride, so he crept inside a hot cross bun, and he thought, "Oh, here is fun." But along came a boy who exclaimed with joy, "Oh, isn't this nice?" And he cut a huge slice. Will fell to the floor, which made him quite sore. With a hop, skip, and jump, he leapt with a bump in the mash that a chicken was busily picking. Said the fowl with a scowl, "You're not very civil, you ill-mannered weevil," and pecked at his head, which killed him quite dead, and away the soul fled out of wicked Wilfred. Now, friends, looking back, I enjoyed this poem. Again, I'm not sure why, because it was really violent. However, Wilfred was a little on the greedy side. He was never satisfied. Every time he had a bad experience, he would eat more. He wanted more. He was in the corn. He had bread. He went in the flour. He went in the cheese. He went in the hot cross bun. He just never stopped. He was in the mash that the chicken was busily picking. And everywhere he went, he got shot down until he met his death. So, the moral of the story, I guess, to us was not to be too greedy. Anyway, speaking to my child self in me now, I would modify it a little bit so that I'd tell myself, listen, it's okay to want whatever I want, but not to step on anybody's toes in the process. Sometimes it's inevitable that you will step on somebody's toes because people don't always like to see you getting what you want. So the fact that you're succeeding just hurts some people. But you should never stop fighting to achieve your goals as long as your goals are not someone else's possession. More later, Stronglock Radio.